What's going on, everybody? You have Tone here, coach of the Miami Palafins, back with another team builder for week number 3 of the BBR D-League season number 1, where this week we are taking on none other than JRicky, or Hera Horde as you remember him, coach of the Hera Horde Pokemon Club. His link will be in the description down below. Be sure to check him out, as well as all the other coaches taking part for BBR D-League Season number 1. If you guys missed last week's battle, we did take on Obo and his Grand Rapids Goldango, and we picked up a nice 2-0 win on the back of Espathra and Hariyama. But yeah, here we are with week number 3 against Hera, and this is perhaps the match I was probably looking forward to the most, considering who it is, but I'm obviously looking forward to the team because the team he has is very, very scary. Headline, of course, by the fact that he does have the Terra Dragonite, which can be either Terra Flying or Terra Normal for the powerful extreme speeds. His team in and of itself is, for the most part, fairly balanced. It had this very nice mix of both offense and defensive threats. And for the most part, this is probably going to be the hardest matchup in a sense of, I feel like I can probably cover for any combination of 6 Pokemon he might bring, but at the same time though, I don't feel confident because of the fact of there are certain aspects to my team that I feel like I wish I could sweep with, but I feel like his offense is too much for me to actually try to get that sweep happening, especially considering the strong priority, the option to paralyze, he has the defensive options. Like, it's a lot of stuff I have to wear down in order to make certain things work. And that pretty much dissuaded me from going the route of straight up offense. So the team I ended up building for this battle is sort of weird. And I say weird in the sense of there's no real clear-cut win con, which is something that I try to stray away from, because if there's no win con, then what's the point of trying to put together something if you're just trying to I hate building teams that forces me to be reactive as opposed to being proactive, because I feel like if I'm being reactive, I'm on the back foot from turn 1, and I wanted to avoid that as much as possible when it came to this particular matchup, because there's so many things I have to deal with, and I feel like the stuff I deal with doesn't allow me to, at the same time, try to come up with something to go after Hera. And that's what makes this matchup so particularly annoying, is because I can't really do that in a sense with certain Pokemon. So what I ended up doing was I tried to put my win con through my hazards, so to speak, but it also comes down to what he decides to bring, what combination of 6 he can bring. For the most part, I'm expecting him to bring the Dragonite, the Iron Bundle, the Azumarill, the Tinglu, Klefki, and for the most part, probably the 6th mon is probably going to be the Gallade, if only due to the fact that while I do have responses to Gallade, I don't have full-fledged switch-ins, and both of my my primary hazard setters, mainly my Stealth Rockers, the Gastrodon, and the Garganacl, don't appreciate Gallade with the combination of Sacred Sword and Leaf Blade in conjunction with its new ability and Sharpness. So yeah, as for the team itself, first off, we're just going to jump right into it. We have our Heavy Duty Boots Dragapult with Hex, Thunderbolt, Will-O-Wisp, and U-Turn. This set is interesting in the sense of, obviously, there's no dragon move. Running Draco Meteor just becomes setup fodder with Dragapult. Granted, I could U-Turn, but I would rather try to take out the ability to not become setup fodder for a DDD Knight, a Belly Dramazu, stuff like that. I rather Thunderbolt just gave me the most consistent coverage while also having the ability to hit stuff like Dragonite if it's Terra Flying, or Dragonite in general. I can deal with I come close to knocking out Iron Bundle with Thunderbolt. It lets me hit the Azumarill, and pretty much everything on his team for consistent damage that's not named Ting Lu. Obviously, this set's not doing much to Ting Lu, but at the very least, I can attempt to burn it with Will-O-Wisp, and then Will-O-Wisp plus Hex does do a crap ton of damage to his entire team. And then obviously U-Turn is just there for momentum purposes. This is enough speed to outspeed Iron Bundle. And for the most part, it also outspeeds Adamant max speed Dragonite after a DD. I do not outspeed +1 Jolly Dragonite. And of course, Dragapult is the one thing on my team that's pretty much essentially keeping him from clicking extreme speed over and over again against my team. So yeah, that is a Dragapult set, and not only does Hex help with conjunction with Will-O-Wisp, it also helps with the fact that I am bringing this Meowscarada with Toxic Spikes. So if there's one thing about Hera's team that's probably the only thing I could try to take advantage of, it's the fact that his poison type is not grounded, which is the Haunter. He does have the means of removing hazards with stuff like the Colossal, and of course he has a Magic Bounce Espeon, but Espeon does not want to appreciate going and taking a knockoff from the Meowscarada, but the main thing that I wanted Toxic Spikes for specifically was the Ting Lu, since nothing on my team can really hard poison it except for my Salazzle. So I figured having Toxic Spikes at the very least would benefit me, spraying around poisons to the rest of his team. I get to see if any of his Pokemon are heavy duty boots, and for the most part I do the combination of Flower Trick, Knock Off, and Sucker Punch does do a decent chunk to everything not named Klefki. The only downside of Klefki is like Draining Kiss or whatever. But for the most part, the idea is to just get up Toxic Spikes as quickly as possible, mainly for the Ting Lu, and then just chip stuff down, getting rid of Boots with Knock Off, Flower Trick just to get some extra damage off, and Sucker Punch for the faster mons like the Iron Bundle. So yeah, this is a very straightforward Meowscarada set, nothing really too fancy about this, just max attack, enough speed to outspeed the Espeon, and then the rest is just thrown into defense to take stuff like Azumarill, Aqua Jet, and even the Dragonite Extreme Speed. So that is a Meowscarada, and now for the funky set, I guess you could say, of the team, and that is this Espathra set. Now, if it's one thing I knew from the get-go, like, there was absolutely, I just told myself that there was no way in hell that I was ever going to try to get a sweep going with Espathra between Extreme Speed Dragonite, Azumarill Aqua Jet, Thunderwave Klefki, Spadef Ting Lu, and to a lesser extent, even stuff like Shadow Sneak, Gallade, whatever. So yeah, he has roughly 5 options to keep this Espathra in check. So there was absolutely no way I could see myself trying to sweep with this thing, or at the very least set up, because there was too much stuff in Espathra's way to try to make that work. So what I decided to do was use this in a more defensive approach while still having some sort of offensive scheme going. And that explains the set. As you can see, I am Lumina Crash and Foul Play. Between Lumina Crash, is basically, I'm accepting the fact that Ting Lu's gonna come in every single time. Even if I was Terra Fighting, I would have to get up multiple Calm Minds. And even if I was a Calm Mind set, the Ting Lu can easily just click Whirlwind. There was absolutely no way I was ever going to be in a situation to set that thing up so long as Ting Lu is intact. So that explains the Toxic Spikes. The other thing was, even if I was Terra Fighting on this thing, I would need multiple boosts to come even remotely close to 2 KOing Spadef Ting Lu. So I figured it was no sense to try it. And that explains this Espathra set. This set is basically just designed to just get as much chip damage as I can on his team. Nothing more. Lumina Crash hits everything on his team that's not named Ting Lu. And then the main reason for Foul Play on this set. The main reason is for the Dragonite and for the Azumarill, but specifically more so the Dragonite. If the Dragonite goes for Extreme Speed on my Espathra, it's going to take Rocky Helmet damage. taking Rocky Helmet damage means I break the multi-scale. If he has a DD up, I can 2-KO it with Foul Play, and then I can also go for Endure. And what Endure allows me to do is then I can Endure him as he thinks he can take me out with Extreme Speed. I endure the hit, he takes more Rocky Helmet chip, and it becomes a sort of 50-50 situation where if he's DD Roost with like Extreme Speed and a coverage move, that means he's missing something from my other Pokemon, which is benefit for me, because then the DD Knight, if he's Roost, he would need Extreme Speed for priority. He would essentially want to have some way of hitting my Garg and my Scizor. And at the same time, he would probably want a means of just having a attack to click overall like Dragon Claw. Which is beneficial, which is good and bad, because if he's DD3 attacks, it means he doesn't have a recovery move. If he has a recovery move, that means he's only 2 attacks, which means he's missing coverage. So it becomes that sort of mind game, not really a mind game, but more so like a sort of a 50-50, so to speak. And it sucks in the situation because I could have brought Dash Bun in the situation, but it's really, really frustrating having a Dash Button in a situation that becomes setup fodder for a Dragon type. And my best bet against that was to bring like Roar, but then at the same time, Dash Button felt sort of iffy against essentially everything else on his team, and I couldn't really fit it in. So yeah, Espathra is basically just taking the role of trying to chip his team down with the Rocky Helmet and the Lumina Crash and all that stuff. Protectus to ensure I get some extra speed boost to at the very least I would outspeed Iron Bundle after Protect, and Endure, like I said, is just to ensure I have the means of living with 1 HP. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the Espathra. I know I've gone a little bit longer for the rambling in terms of what the set does, but yeah, that's the idea with the Espathra set. Then moving on, we have my Hariyama set. This I struggled with a lot because basically this, I really didn't want to bring so much speed on this Hariyama, but the main thing that concerned me was if he decided to go the route of a Adamant max speed Belly Drum Azu. I wanted to at the very least have a means of outspeeding Adamant Azu, so he would at least force him to, if he feels like in a situation where Jet doesn't kill Hariyama, he would click Play Rough. So I have Guts Thunder Punch to at the very least outspeed and do a huge chunk to the Azu with Thunder Punch. I don't have Facade because Facade at the very least, I mean not Facade, I value getting rid of items with knockoff as opposed to having Facade. Thunder Punch is there to hit the Azumarill and to a lesser extent the Dragonite, but it depends on whether or not he's Terra Flying or Terra Normal. And then, of course, Bullet Punch is mainly just there for priority purposes. And yeah, this is just my way of trying to, at the very least, be fast and hit hard against his more bulkier stuff. So wearing down stuff like Ting Lu, getting the chip damage off on Azumarill, chipping down the Klefki if possible. So yeah, those sort of Pokemon, and even to a lesser extent the Colossal, so to speak. So yeah, that is the Hariyama. Nothing else to say about that. Just max attack, enough Jolly with enough speed to outspeed Adamant max speed Azumarill, and the rest is just thrown into defense. Then we have, for the first time this season, we are bringing the Cryogonal with heavy duty boots, Freeze Dry, Rapid Spin, Water Pulse, Recover. This set is basically going to be my Iron Bundle check in this match, as if the Iron Bundle is not specs, it cannot 2-KO Cryogonal. Granted, this does mean that if I bring Cryogonal in an Iron Bundle, JRicky is smart enough to not like hard attack it, like he can bring me in and then get momentum with like Flip Turn or U-Turn and then force me out again. So it's a check still, not a foolproof one, but it is one nonetheless. The speed is enough to guarantee outspeed max speed non-Scarf Haunter. The 124 special attack investment is enough to guarantee 2-KO a max HP Colossal with Water Pulse if he's not specially defense invested, and the rest is just thrown to HP. So like I said, since this is going to be my main response to the Iron Bundle, as well as most of his special attackers, granted stuff like Psyshock, Espeon, will still chunk this thing. But at the very least, though, I am not, I get the information I need to see whether or not it is like specs or whatever on the Espeon. So yeah, that is the Cryogonal. And then lastly, we have our physically defensive Garganacl with Pasho Berry, Salt Cure, Body Press, Recover, Stealth Rock. This set is as close to a Dragonite check as I could get, quote unquote. It's not really a check. I could have ran the option of potentially bringing Iron Defense to be the Dragonite check, but then the problem then becomes, while I boost my own defense and I can body press stuff, the problem then becomes, if he brings Gallade, and Gallade gets access to Sacred Sword on top of Sharpness, so he hits me super effectively with Sacred Sword, Sharpness boosted, and it negates my boost, he can potentially knock me out. So the reason why I'm not set up is because of the Gallade. And even if I was set up, I could be worn down to the point where I would have to keep myself healthy with Recover. I would have to Iron Defense and all that stuff, and I really wouldn't get anywhere because as well as I'm setting up, I can't set up and then recover and then attack all at the same time with this Garg set. So I figured just get as much damage off as I possibly could. Being specially defensive doesn't really help me at all in this matchup, just because of the stuff that I could potentially check on the special side. It's basically just going to be Espeon, and to a lesser extent Haunter, but Haunter could trick me, Espeon could trick me, and it just comes down to, and even the Rotom Mow is just going to like Leaf Storm me or just chip me down, whatever, and I'm going to be forced out regardless, and Iron Bundle 2 KOs me with a Water move, even if I was full Spadef, so there was no point in being especially defense invested whatsoever. So yeah, so Fizz Def was the way to go to act as a main way of being able to check the Dragonite. Granted, it's not the best in terms of stuff like getting worn down by Ting Lu, where I can just EQ and like he predicts me to recover, or he gets up hazards and then phases me out and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on. I don't really feel that the best about the team that I brought, but I felt like at the moment it was the best 6 I could come up with in the current matchup. I couldn't bring Gastrodon as much as I would have loved to, but the Azumarill does get access to Trailblaze, and Iron Bundle would just freeze dry it. Gallade, Leaf Blade, Rotom-Mow, it's a grass type. And yeah, there was just too much stuff that he could have brought that would easily just chip down and get rid of my Gastrodon, so I felt like a waste of a slot in that sense. So yeah, without further ado, that is going to be the team builder for this week of the BBR D-League. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to be on the lookout on Monday for the incoming battle against Hera. I am very excited though for this matchup. We haven't played each other in about 5 years. It's been a long time coming. So yeah, hope you guys are looking forward to the battle. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until the next time, this is Tone, signing off for now. Peace out.